Again, I'm Nancy Scott with Masterpiece Quilting, and welcome to my Quilt Candy virtual trunk show. I want to start out by sharing a little bit about the quilt that is right here behind me. This is one of my designs. It's called Black and White Express. This is the ultimate quilt pattern if you are teaching somebody to make a quilt for the very first time, or if this is your very first quilt. And the reason I say that is because all of our seams are straight in assembling the blocks. We don't have to worry about any bias edges. We don't have to worry about any triangles. Even if you end up a little bit off on your seam allowances, you're still going to square up each block before you assemble it. So if you've got somebody who you want to teach how to make a quilt for the first time, this is a perfect pattern to do that with, and it's called Black and White Express. And I want to show you a second version of it, just to give you an idea of some diversity of what it looks like. This is the other version. And there we go. I won't try to talk behind the quilt because I know that doesn't always work the best. But this version is made with Island Batik fabrics, and it is a little bit scrappier than what the first version is. With the black and gray and red one, we've got 5 different grays that I used repeated throughout. On this one, I've got a lot of different fabrics, so we don't have as many consistent prints, but just matched up the sashing along with the print that is in the bigger squares, and then kept all of the background the same. So if you are starting to run low on fabric right now at home, or don't have, obviously don't have the option of going out and going to your local quilt shop shopping. We don't here in Indiana, so you can just pull stash fabrics and use that just as scrappy as you want to. And before I forget it, in the last Facebook Live I had, somebody asked me to show the backs of my quilts. So I'm going to do that real quick here. Just a real simple backing, and you can see a little bit of the quilting. I'm going to be totally honest with you right now. On the quilts that I make for pattern covers, where I know that the only thing that's going to be photographed is the front of the quilt, I don't worry a whole lot about the back of the quilt, because lots of times it's just some extra fabric that I've got on hand. When you go shopping, you always see those bolts that they have marked down, where you buy the whole bolt, you get the whole thing less expensive. Hey, I'm the one who's always buying that, because that's what I use for a lot of my quilt backs. One of the things, Aubrey's here, and she put into the comments the links for purchasing patterns for everything that I'm talking about today. So I know I talk fast, and I've got about 8 quilts that I want to get through here in 15 minutes. So I'm going to be talking fast, but the links are all going to be right there in the comments. And Black and White Express, this one, just basic black, just a black solid, probably a white back that I use for the backing of it. Kind of shows the texture of the quilt. Next up is Stepping Out. This is made in Island Batik fabrics. Oops. And I'll go ahead and just flip around to the back again here. Just some stash fabric that I had enough yardage to piece together and work for the back. So nothing particularly exceptional for the backing on this one, but quilt pattern. This one uses either 2.5-inch strips, and then you can cut those to size to make the blocks, or you can work with stash fabrics and go super scrappy, which is what I did with this quilt. So again, if your home stash is starting to get a little bit low and just want to use up some really pretty bright colors, this works great. Or you can go with a themed set of colors that you really like. So this is Stepping Out, and it's one of my patterns that's been really, really well received. Okay, up next, the Rory baby quilt. I know all the memes have been on Facebook about what's going to be happening in 9 months from now regarding babies, but hey, this is a great time to go ahead and start stitching ahead if you know that there's going to be some babies coming in your family or friends, baby showers, or if you've got showers that are being delayed, postponed. Hey, the baby quilt is an easy way to take care of that and give a good, useful gift. I know I've got a couple that have happened where babies have already arrived and I need to get gifts in the mail to them, or we've got a baby shower that every time I turn around it keeps getting postponed for a cousin, but a baby quilt will be the perfect gift that I can just pop in the mail to her. This is a really super simple, really dynamic baby quilt to make. I named it Rory after one of my cousin's daughters that was born. You can work it either stash and go very specific if you know the gender. Obviously this one is pink. Or you can do a very gender neutral, which is what I have with this one. This one is made with Island Batik fabrics. A little bit kind of pastelish, babyish, but could be gender neutral, boy, girl. You could obviously go all blues if you wanted to, or pick fabrics that match the particular nursery for the person that you're making the gift for. So this is the Rory baby quilt. Backing wise, just put some basic yellow solid on the back of this one. And this one I just echoed over same fabric that I had on the front of the quilt for the background, the real pretty white with the different color circles. I repeated that onto the back, and all of these are made with a striped binding, scrappy binding. So both of them are great stash busting quilts. And you know, baby quilts, even if you don't have a baby being born soon into your family or somebody, they can always make great donation gifts to the various organizations and hospitals, even in your local community, who are collecting blankets for newborns. Okay. Last week when I did the Facebook Live, I focused on a lot of bigger quilts. And today I want to go smaller. Lots of times our attention span seems to be getting a little bit shorter the longer we're staying inside. So something easy that you can finish. This is Blossom, and is just a cute little wall hanging. A mix of patchwork piecing along with some raw edge fusible applique. As spring is starting to arrive, at least here in Indiana, we've got some blooms that are coming into fruition. Some of our bulbs are coming up, so Blossom makes a great pattern that you can show off the blossoms inside of the house. Again, very stash friendly. You can match your decor. This one is in Island Batik fabrics. A couple years ago, I'm not this year, but I think for a couple years, I was an Island Batik ambassador, so I have several quilts that are made using their fabrics. And batiks work really, really well if you're doing raw edge fusible applique. Because of the higher thread count, you don't have to worry about any fraying as you're stitching around the edges. Up next, I've got a table runner. And we've got the table runner in 3 different colorways. Let me pull the ladder over. This is Let's Gather. And I have big tables, so I have long table runners. I know you just have to make it match the size of the table that you have. You can adjust this to any length that you want by the number of blocks that you include in the runner before you go into the setting instructions. But I've got this obviously in a patriotic mix of colors, some red, whites, and blues. We've got an autumn mix of colors right here. So here's our autumn. And then here's the Christmas version. So as we're moving into spring, if you need to freshen up your table a little bit, making a table runner, it's a great way just to change things out. Pull some stash fabrics if you want to and work with it that way. table runners also make great gifts. Something really simple, really easy to sew, and just pop it in the mail to a friend. What a more perfect way to brighten their day. I do have some kits available in my Etsy store. The link went into the comments of the autumn colorway. I'm not sure that I've got very many of them left. They were leftovers from when I was doing shows a couple years ago when this pattern first came out, but the leftover kits I do have in there. Don't remember the exact price, so take a look, but they are very value priced, and I am doing free shipping off of my Etsy store. So we've got the Let's Gather table runner. Oh, and before I forget, in the Etsy store, or on the links, everything I included as a link was a PDF pattern. That way you can just download, print at home, and not have to worry anything about you know, paper transmission, viral concerns, whatever. If you do prefer a print pattern and all I have left listed is a PDF, let me know. I've got print patterns available. Let me grab a sip here real quick. Okay, let's move into Christmas because we all love Christmas. And why not? We might as well start working on our Christmas decor now. This is Tree of Presents. Kind of a fun, whimsical, not so hardcore Christmassy Christmas quilt, but I've also seen this done for birthday quilts. If you're doing some virtual birthday celebrations, why not pick out some favorite colors, make this, and then have it hanging so that if you're FaceTiming or sharing or spending some time virtually with each other, connected on media for a birthday, this would be a great way to show off that you've got a tree of presents. And the back on this one, real simple, straight line quilting, just shows the textures on the back. And you can pick up a little bit of the detail work that I did inside the presents. And yes, this guy had been folded up, so it is good and wrinkly. And the last one that I want to show is actually a duo. It is the Wreath runner and wall hanging. This is the table runner. Patchwork piecing with a little bit of it's fusible applique for the bows. And if you wanted, instead of the table runner, wanted to go with the long wall hanging this way, just change the location of the bows from there to here, and then you can go long wall hanging with it if you prefer that. And then the smaller wall hanging, oops, get my wreath going right side, is right here. And these two complement each other perfectly. They're together in the same pattern. So buy one pattern and you get both the wall hanging and the wreath, or excuse me, the wall hanging and the table runner in the same pattern. And I do also have a few kits left for this in the Etsy store, and you'll find the link. So if you are running low on fabrics or sometimes just need a kit to work with, this is a great way to pull that together. So those are all the quilts that I have to share with you guys today. And I know I want to stay really pretty close to my 15-minute time limit. But if you've got any questions about the quilts, go ahead and pop them up onto Facebook. And what I'm going to do, instead of spending time right now going through and answering all the questions, I'm going to hop back on, scroll through, and answer them here in about the next hour or so. Again, huge thanks for being a part of the Quilt Candy Virtual Trunk Show. I know I have had a blast seeing all the different designers and the quilts that they're making and sharing and showcasing with all of us. And our next presenter is actually a friend of mine. Jamie Crow is going to be up at 2 o'clock this afternoon with Bella Nona Design Studio. And even though we can't talk about it or we can't share anything about it, we could talk about it, but we just can't share anything with you. Jamie and I are working on a collaboration with one of her fabric lines and one of my designs. And in about 6 months from now, we're going to be able to share that quilt with you. But I know that Jamie's got some beautiful designs to share with you, and she's going to be up next at 2 o'clock. Hey, thank you all for being a part of it. Bye for now.